All right, we are live, ready to go. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the County of Berrien. It is a pleasure to have you here with us today as we conduct business for the Board of Commissioners. With that being said, just a reminder, silence or turn off all electronic devices during the course of the meeting. Any materials that you wish to have distributed to the board, you can do so by giving it to our Sergeant of Arms, which is Commissioner Jim Kern. And then during the appropriate times in the agenda, if you wish to address the board, and also during the public hearing, please do so by going to the podium, state your name, jurisdiction, and then you'll have 2 minutes to speak to the board at that point. With that being said, we'll proceed with roll call.
Bell.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Freely.
Present.
Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman. Ott.
Here.
Pitchford.
Present.
Tyler. Present. Borath.
Here.
Werfel.
Here.
Yobro and Elliott. You have
9. Yes,
9 present and 3 absent.
we have a quorum. Next on the agenda is the approval of the December 19th, 2024 meeting, which was the last committee of the whole meeting that we had. Everybody's had a chance to review that. If so, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Moved by Commissioner Harrison. Is there support? Support by Commissioner Ott. Everybody's like, Is there any further discussion on those minutes? Yes. Okay. For point of clarity, the only thing you can't do is to make the motion to approve them, but you can vote on all of the actions if you feel comfortable, but I understand. So for the record, Commissioner Werfel is going to abstain. Outside of that, all those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Minutes are approved. Requisition review, and we have a few of them. So Annette.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So thank you for your understanding in doing the requisitions. I know that's a lot. Having said that, I forgot the road department. So what I've handed you is what will become version 6 that I will need to add to this. However, Brian sent out an email about a requisition that we may need to do today for Whiteman. And I don't have that information yet, and I'd like to try to wait until we can see if we can possibly get this morning still, before you go and sign this. So
And to any commissioners that didn't see the email, so what she's referring to is Whiteman has been under contract with the road department over the last year and a half, doing culvert inspections across the county. One of the culvert inspections that was occurring this week, critical damage was found underneath the culvert. One of essentially the support beams had failed. Road department met with Whiteman on site yesterday. Initially, I think they were going to need to close the culvert to all vehicle traffic. They made the decision that there was enough support there that one lane of traffic could remain open. Now, what the road department is doing is they're working with Whiteman to put together engineering agreement for essentially structural engineering work. The design of the repair needs to be put together. It is beyond our in-house engineering's ability to do. We will have that requisition in front of you, we hope today, with the intent of accelerating the repair of that culvert. Mark is going to be an admin today, providing an update on the status of the culvert, on the status of the project, and then the anticipated repair schedule. Our intent is, if we have the requisition ready, is to hit both the admin and finance committees today to try and seek concurrence to allow Whiteman to get started in a hurry-up manner. More information is available. I don't want to drag this on, but each of you has received an email with some background documentation.
And the waiver for that is going to finance today. We do have that part with the estimated amount of what we believe it's going to be. And then, yeah, so if I can get that from them, then I would add it to this, and then that would become version 6. Did anybody else, have any other questions?
Sharon's got a question.
Commissioner.
I will be abstaining on
blanket number for First Church of God, reference number 75125, for a total of 92,928. Due to abundance of caution, my daughter-in-law was part of the grant writing, and she is hired on an on-call basis.
Thank you for that. And we'll make note of that on the requisition when it comes around.
Yeah, there's actually a line on here where you can say which one that you're abstaining from. You just add it in the bottom part.
And then Commissioner Wolf.
I just wondered on the blankets, if it would be possible to get a comparison.
Yes.
And I don't need it before signing this list, that's fine. I mean, I know that'll take some time.
I knew I needed to address two other things, and now that's one of them.
Okay.
So Commissioner Harrison had asked about the, like, has there been any changes? Are there any new vendors? So I sent out an email to all of the departments that were on the rec list that we currently have. The majority of the feedback was there's no new vendors, with the exceptions of like medical and food at the jail. They're all pretty much in line with what we did last year. The comparison, while I'm not able to do it as a part of the document that I send you, Jake, he's a master, I tell you. He was able to create a Excel spreadsheet that's going to show all the blankets, where they started, where they ended, what department they belong to. So we're working on getting that for you. I just can't compare the two documents, but, okay,
Appreciate that.
great, thank you.
Are there any other questions on the requisitions, I should say? And then if finance takes action on that waiver, and then we also have the road department requisitions, those will be considered for the 10:30 meeting, possibly for the one waiver consideration. If there are no other questions on that, that will be going around the table. And so the next item that we have on the agenda is our public hearing for a brownfield plan. It is a brownfield plan happening in Benton Township, and it is for a Tractor Supply Company. So I will need to have a motion to close this meeting and go into a public hearing made by Commissioner Pitchford. Is there support? Sorry. Commissioner Volrath actually beat you to it. So Commissioner Volrath supported, and we have to go roll call by voice. No. Yeah. Around the horn.
Okay.
I can't talk for some
Okay.
reason.
Curran,
Kern.
Yes.
Freeland,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman. Sorry,
Yes.
Pitchford,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes,
Volrath,
Yes.
Werfel,
Yes.
Mamie's absent, Elliott, Bell. You have 9 yeas and 3 absent.
Thank you so much. So we are closing the committee of the whole meeting, opening the public hearing, and we're going to turn it over to the Community Development Director, Dan Fetty, to give us the updates on all of this.
Good morning, everyone. It's been a while since we've asked the board to approve a new brownfield plan. I think it's been about 18 months since the last one we did. So to refresh everyone's memory, I know everyone's been through this before. When the Brownfield Authority tries to undertake a new project, wants to undertake a new brownfield project, they develop what's called a tax increment financing plan. And this is a way of financially supporting the remediation and redevelopment generally of contaminated property. That plan is then recommended for approval by our Brownfield Authority. It comes to this board. By law, you have to hold a public hearing on the plan so that public has an opportunity to see the elements of it, ask questions and so forth. At the close of that public hearing, you'll then be asked to approve the plan or reject the plan. If you approve the plan, then the final step is that the local community has to concur in its adoption, in this case, Benton Township. We had originally scheduled this public hearing for December 5th, but you recall that was one of the rare snow days here at the county building. And because the meeting schedule and the publication notice requirements, we were unable to get a new public hearing scheduled until today. So we're about a month behind where we thought we would be on this. For that reason, today on the consent calendar is a resolution to approve this brownfield plan. We would normally go through a 2-week process where we do it with finance first and then bring it to you. I'm hoping that the board will agree just to act on the resolution today, since we're already a little behind where we thought we should be right now. And I want to make sure that we can get on Benton Township's agenda this month still. So with that said, the purpose of the public hearing is to review this plan. It's the same presentation I've given every time we've done one of these. I'll basically summarize the project, describe the location of it, explain why it's eligible for inclusion in the brownfield plan, and then we go through these very specific things called Section 13 requirements, which are just essentially findings of fact that are made in the plan itself. Well, Annette warned me I wasn't going to be able to get this to work, but here we go. I'll just use the board. All right, so Tractor Supply Company intends to redevelop approximately 10 acres of vacant property on the north side of Fairplain Drive in Benton Township. If you know where like the Secretary of State's office is, or T-Mobile, right across the street from Lowe's, for example, it's that kind of strip mall area. They're expanding that out to include Tractor Supply Company. Once it's developed, it'll be about a 2,100 or 21,000 square foot retail building. It's expected to employ approximately 50 full-time, part-time workers. Construction, earthwork is ongoing right now. Construction is going to begin as soon as weather permits, and it'll probably take about 18 months to complete. Benton Township has requested that the county adopt a brownfield plan to help the developer defray certain eligible environmental costs that need to be conducted on site. If anyone is curious about what this is going to look like, if you've been to the one in Lincoln Township, it is the exact same design and same footprint. I mean, it's an exact duplicate. This site has been vacant for several years and has a history of arsenic contamination because of its past use as a fruit orchard. There's a reason that we call that area the Orchards Mall area. It's the whole area in the 1930s was used for an orchard, and as is the case in most situations with fruit farming from the 1930s, arsenic's presence in the soil because of pesticides that were used back in that period of time. The project aims to address the concerns, particularly arsenic, through response activities. Basically, they're going to have to remove some of the contaminated soil there to make it suitable for commercial redevelopment. Normally, I would say, just as an aside, the contamination is barely above the criteria necessary for response activities, but because they're going to have to do so much earthwork to balance the site out, they're going to be moving a lot of soil, and as a result of that, they do have to undertake some remediation out there. I don't know if this is going to work or not, but the site is right here, okay? If you think about it, here's 94, there's 139, that's the mall, and this is the site. I'll show you a little closer map of this too. Again, here, this is the Orchard Mall. Here's the T-Mobile, Secretary of State and everything. Big B Coffee, I think, is out there. And this is the site we're talking about right here. Okay, it's the one right next to it. It's a fairly large amount of land. As I indicated, the reason this can be included is in a brownfield plan is because it does have contamination on it, which exceeds what we call generic cleanup criteria for residential and non-residential use. Therefore, it's eligible property because it's classified as a quote unquote facility. This is just a term of art. So property is contaminated enough, it's a facility. If it's a facility, it's eligible to be included in a brownfield plan. Now, these are the activities that the developer is going to have to undertake in order to safely redevelop this site. We have due care activities. This is just basically certain signages, barriers, fencing that needs to be put up to ensure that no one is entering the site during environmental response. There are investigations that about $5,900 of phase 1, phase 2 investigations that had to take place prior to development. But the big one here is the $876,000 of response activities. That is entirely earthwork. Okay, that's the removal of contaminated soil, and that's a maximum amount. We have the county charges, so the Brownfield Authority is going to charge $20,000 to administer this plan over the next 20 years, which I think is a pretty generous offer to them. It's only $1,000 a year that we're going to charge. And then we've built in contingencies of $131,000. Now, I should mention here, the $1,036,000 of total eligible activity, the amount of tax revenue generated from the site will never pay that cost off, okay? The developer is probably going to get reimbursed about half of these costs. We've talked to them, they understand that, but it will not have enough tax generation to repay all the costs. So probably 50% of their costs over the next 20 years will be reimbursed, and that's as good as we can do for them. The estimated amount of capture and tax increment revenues, we have to state that within the plan. Right now, it has taxable value of $79,000. We think it'll have a taxable value of about $931,000 on completion. That's based on the actual assessment roll for the Tractor Supply Company in Lincoln Township. Like I said, it's on identical site, so we're using that as a model. So there's going to be, a considerable amount of taxable growth, but just not a lot of revenue that'll come off of that. We're not going to be capturing school taxes. So there's going to be no state involvement in this plan. This is a local only plan that'll be administered. So it'll be county taxes, LMC taxes, and township taxes. This is hard to read, but we're required to place this in the plan. And this is a statement of the anticipated impact of the taxing units on the future tax revenues that will be captured. Maybe you can read this. Township, it's going to be about 24,000, another 200 and some thousand in special voted for the township. County, it'll be about 119 to 120,000 in taxes that'll be captured, and so on and so forth. LMC comes out to, I think is that 66,000, if I remember correctly, 56. Yeah. Oh, time to get my lenses changed again, it looks like. The method by which the cost of the plan will be financed, including a description of any advances made. Well, there are going to be no advances made by any local unit. Town or Tractor Supply Company is paying all the costs themselves, and they will be reimbursed. So it's rare that we do a plan where the county or the local unit actually fronts the money to do this. It's almost entirely the case that we rely on the private developer to pay for the cost up front. The proposed beginning date for brownfield capture is January 2026. There'll probably be some limited amount of taxable growth this year through partial completion of the facility. But as I said, it won't be totally built out until 2026. So we won't see a lot of tax growth next year, but probably the following year in 27 is when we'll start to see some real tax growth there. And again, the estimated duration is 20 years. That's simply because in past practices with Benton Township, they prefer to not have these plans run more than 20 years. Legislatively, you can run them up to 30, sometimes 35 years, depending, but the township prefers to have it at a 20-year rate, which is fine. An estimate of future tax revenues, well, I just showed you what that would be, the impact of that. We've shown you the legal description, the location of it. We've described the characteristics of why it's eligible property. And as a final matter, I'll say that no personal property is going to be included in the tax capture. There's not going to be much personal property because it's basically a building and inventory, and that's it. So we're going to be capturing the taxes off the building. There are no residents that'll be displaced. Therefore, we don't have to file any uniform relocation plan. There's no, the final element of this is something called a local site remediation fund. That's where you capture taxes in excess of the eligible costs and then use that to fund future projects. We're not going to have any kind of site remediation revolving fund associated with this plan either. Finally, we're required to consider any other material or information that may be relevant to the commissioner's decision. I will say that going all the way back into February of last year, I did receive a letter from Kathy Yates, Township Supervisor, specifically requesting that the county undertake this project, develop the brownfield plan, and then administer it on behalf of Tractor Supply Company. Okay? And that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
Are there any questions for Dan from the board? All right, we will open it up for anyone that wishes to make a public comment during the public hearing on this project. They're racing to the podium. Do you see that? Okay. Well, we appreciate the efforts to move this project forward. And this is my second time of hearing about the plan because I also serve on the Brownfield Authority, and I think it is a good project. So appreciate all of the work and the effort that went into this and look forward to seeing the project moving forward. With no other questions or comments on the project, we will proceed with closing the public hearing. And so I need a motion to close the public hearing and support for that. Moved by Commissioner Warfel, supported by Commissioner Volrath. Was that Dave? Okay. I thought so. I thought I heard you say yes. It's okay. All right, roll call for that.
Freely,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman, Ott, Pitchford,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Walrath,
Yes.
Warfel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Mac, and Curran,
Yes.
and Bell.
Yes.
Commissioner, you have 10 yeses and 2 absent.
Excellent. We have closed the public hearing. So we appreciate that. Yep, indeed. And now we move into public comment for, unless, Brian, it looks like you have something you need to say.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I was hoping to address the requisition specific to roads.
Okay,
Sorry, I was getting some speaker feedback. So to each of you, Annette's been passing around a document that ties back to the previous discussion. This relates to the Whiteman engagement. Now, technically, this should go to Finance Committee. If there is a level of comfort, we'd be happy to have the requisition approved while we go upstairs to also get the waiver approved by Finance. It is totally up to the board what your comfort level is.
does any have any thoughts, Madam Chair of Finance? Are we comfortable with proceeding with having this as a requisition to be approved by the full board, knowing that it will be vetted by Finance and admin in our parent committees?
And the same question for admin, or are you comfortable with what we're proposing?
I'm perfectly fine with it. Move it forward, please.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you for that, and thank you for everyone here on the board being willing to move that forward, just because of the unique circumstances of it being emergent.
Very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's gonna make its way around, and so now we'll proceed with public comments for anyone that wishes to address the board. State your name and jurisdiction.
Good morning, Chuck Height, New Buffalo Township. Just an opportunity to, this Saturday, if you're available from 9 to 12 at the New Buffalo Public Safety Building, there'll be a pancake breakfast with the Sheriff's Office and the New Buffalo Township Fire Department. As you know, we're getting close to the Polar Plunge, which benefits the Special Olympics. So just a little plug for a fundraiser for both teams together. We do it together. We've done it for a couple of years now. We'll promise great pancakes for a great cause. So, very good.
Any reason not to have to cook a meal, I'm down for it, so. Awesome. Are there any other public comments?
Just two random comments for the board. So number
Sure.
one, if you are approached by the retired sheriff, Sheriff Bailey, he and I have been texting back and forth as Notre Dame is advancing to the Orange Bowl. Those are pricey tickets, and I've already told him no, that there is no COLA adjustment on that pension, so he's gonna have to find another job. And then a second item, just for the board's entertainment. Earlier this week, your colleagues over in Ottawa County hosted their second meeting of the year. That ran for 9 hours, 33 minutes. So to you all, thank you. Those are my comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you for those comments. We'll try to improve upon our lengths of our meetings for you. How's that sound, Brian? Yes, Commissioner Bullrun.
Commissioners were astounded at how little time we do. We spend 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah,
That one, there's others. So
absolutely.
we are well-
Efficient.
Well organized and efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, things to strive for in 2025.
I do have prices for Lions tickets if you're if you're rich and available.
Understood. Well, if there are no other public comments or any other comments from the board, we'll stand adjourned.